From the ashes of a burning city, a vengeful deity emerges with powers beyond imagination. Our story begins in the bustling city of Petra, also known as the Rose City. This fabled city carved into sheer rock faces concealed itself away in a secret valley in southern Jordan. During its peak, around 300 AD, Petra thrived as a critical trading hub connecting Arabia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean regions. Because of its convenient location along trade routes, Petra accumulated great wealth and influenced neighboring kingdoms. But its glory didn't last forever. Around the year 363 AD, a massive earthquake struck the city. The catastrophe destroyed most of Petra and decimated its population. Some fled to nearby towns and others perished in the disaster. And because of the lack of written records from that time, we don't know exactly what happened next. But whatever followed, the city was completely abandoned and left in ruins. For over 1,400 years, the site remained lost to the outside world until its rediscovery in 1812 by Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt. But that's not the beginning of our story. Oh no, much further back in time, way back in the 4th century BCE, when the Nabatean kingdom controlled Petra. At that time, the kingdom was a small but mighty force led by a fierce warrior queen named Atalis. The kingdom flourished due to its clever use of water and ingenious irrigation systems. They thrived in the dry and arid landscape. And thanks to their efforts, Petra grew to become a true jewel of the Middle East. However, Queen Atalis' rule didn't come without challenges. The Roman Empire cast an envious gaze upon Petra's prosperity and coveted their success. In 09 BC, the Roman Emperor Augustus declared war on the Nabateans. Queen Athalian and her army bravely defended their homeland, showcasing remarkable military skill. Even legendary Roman generals like Agrippa struggled against them. But as the war dragged on, the Romans gained ground and forced the Nabateans into a corner. With her kingdom in peril, Queen Adelaide turned to the gods for help. She prayed day and night, vowing to honor them if they granted her victory. Finally, the deities heard her pleas and sent her a divine champion, a warrior unlike any other, with powers that shook the very foundations of the earth. But who was this mighty being and why did they favor the Nabateans? Let's delve deeper into the fascinating mythology that surrounds this enigmatic figure. According to ancient texts, the divine warrior took the form of a majestic lion, symbolizing courage, strength, and ferocity. This lion wasn't just any ordinary creature. It possessed supernatural abilities and was guided by the wisdom of the gods. When the lion appeared before Queen Adelaide, she knew that the tide of battle would turn in their favor. With the lion at her side, the Nabateans fought with renewed vigor and determination. Their enemies trembled before them as the lion's roar echoed across the battlefield, striking fear into their hearts. Thanks to the lion's intervention, Petra was saved from destruction, and the Nabatean people celebrated their victory with joy and gratitude. As the dust settled on the battlefield and peace returned to Petra, the lion disappeared as mysteriously as it had arrived. Only a faint roar could be heard echoing through the valleys, serving as a reminder of the day the gods walked among mortals. Now, you might be wondering what happened to the Romans after their defeat. Did they seek revenge or did they learn from their encounter with the divine lion? Well, let me tell you, the Romans, even though formidable, weren't impervious to fear. The appearance of a godlike lion shook them to their core. They realized that they couldn't conquer Petra without facing divine retribution. So the Romans retreated, leaving the Nabateans in peace. From that moment on, the Romans respected Petra's sovereignty, ensuring that the city and its people remained safe from external threats. This newfound peace allowed Petra to flourish, and the Nabateans continued to prosper for many years to come. Yet, as with all great civilizations, their reign was destined to end. But that's not where our story ends. After the Nabatean era, Petra's fate took another turn. New empires rose and fell, yet the memory of the lion lingered. Some say its spirit continued to protect the city, watching over its people even in their darkest hours. Others believe that the lion became a symbol of bravery and resilience, representing the indomitable spirit of the Nabatean people. But there's more to the tale. The earthquake that devastated Petra didn't just damage buildings. It cracked open the bedrock of the city, revealing a mysterious cave. The villagers were astounded to find something incredible inside. The cave housed hundreds of clay jars filled with ancient scrolls. These scrolls contained long-lost knowledge and teachings that had been concealed for centuries. They offered insights into the beliefs, customs, and history of the Nabatean civilization, shedding light on their interactions with other cultures and their unique understanding of the world. Among the scrolls, there were stories about the divine lion, passed down through generations, keeping its memory alive. They spoke of the lion's bravery, its connection to the gods, and its unwavering commitment to protecting Petra. As scholars and researchers delved into these ancient texts, they uncovered more secrets about the lion's origins. It seemed that the lion wasn't merely a mythical beast, but rather a physical manifestation of a powerful deity. This deity was revered as a supreme being, a source of strength and wisdom, and was believed to reside in the celestial realms. Moved by the devotion of the Nabatean people, the deity chose to walk among them in the form of a majestic lion, guiding and defending them whenever they faced adversity. But our journey through the myths and legends doesn't end there. There's more to the story that will leave you amazed. As the Nabatean civilization thrived, so did their religious practices. They built grand temples and created rituals to honor the lion god, seeking its blessings and guidance. One particular ritual stood out: the Festival of the Lion's Might. During this celebration, the Nabateans would gather in the city center and reenact the battle between the lion and the Romans, celebrating their victory and thanking the lion god for its protection. They would dress up as fierce warriors, charging into mock battles, their voices echoing with excitement and fervor. These festivals not only showcased their devotion to the lion, but also served as a reminder of their rich history and cultural heritage. Over time, the legend of the lion grew, captivating the imagination of people far and wide. Travelers who visited Petra couldn't help but be drawn to the tales of the mighty lion, eager to hear more about its miraculous deeds. The lion became a symbol of Petra, representing its strength, resilience, and spiritual connection to the divine. But alas, as the Nabatean civilization declined and Petra's prosperity waned, the stories of the lion god were almost forgotten. It wasn't until the city was rediscovered in modern times that interest in the lion reignited. Archaeologists and historians became intrigued by the remnants of the lion temple and the numerous lion statues found throughout the city. They began piecing together the fragmented accounts of the lion's presence in Petra's history. But as they dug deeper into the ruins, they uncovered something truly astonishing. Hidden beneath the temple dedicated to the lion god, they found an altar inscribed with strange symbols and cryptic messages. As they deciphered the ancient script, they realized that they were witnessing a ritual unlike any they had seen before. This was a ceremony where the priestess would enter a trance-like state and channel the spirit of the lion. They would then deliver prophecies and guidance to the worshippers, claiming to speak on behalf of the lion god. The discovery of the altar and the cryptic messages provided a first-hand account of how the Nabatean people worshipped the lion god. It offered a glimpse into their religious practices and their deep connection to the divine. But our exploration of the lion god's influence in Petra doesn't stop there. Far from it. You see, the impact of this mysterious deity extended beyond the borders of Petra. As the Nabatean kingdom grew and spread its influence, so did the worship of the lion god. The lion's image became a common motif in their art, adorning everything from pottery to jewelry. The lioness roar was seen as a symbol of power, and its strength represented the durability of the Nabatean spirit. Even the neighboring kingdoms took notice of the lion's significance and incorporated it into their own iconography. It wasn't just a religious emblem, but a cultural touchstone that connected people across borders. The influence of the lion god was so profound that it transcended generations. As the Nabatean civilization passed into history, the memory of the lion endured. It became an integral part of the collective consciousness of the region, inspiring awe and reverence for centuries. Today, as we explore the ruins of Petra, we can still feel the echoes of the lion's presence. The weathered stones whisper tales of a mighty deity that once walked among mortals. And in the depths of the treasury, some believe we can hear the faint sound of the lion's mighty roar. The story of the lion god at Petra teaches us about faith, courage, and the enduring power of belief. It reminds us that even in the face of adversity, we can find strength in our convictions and the bonds that unite us. But before we get started, if you love anything to do with ancient history and civilizations, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an upload. The ancient city of Petra, carved into the rose-red cliffs of southern Jordan, stands as a testament to the ingenuity and sophistication of the Nabateans. Among their most remarkable achievements were their advanced water conduit systems, which transformed this arid desert region into a thriving urban center. These intricate networks of channels, cisterns, and dams not only sustained life in an inhospitable environment, but also reflected the Nabateans' deep understanding of hydrology, engineering, and urban planning. By examining these systems in detail, we uncover the secrets of Nabatean technology, their mastery over water resources, and the ways in which they harness nature to build one of the most magnificent cities of antiquity. In order to understand how impressive the waterworks at Petra really were, we need to first look at the geographical and environmental challenges that the Nabatean people faced. The challenge of location: Petra is located in a naturally beautiful but harsh environment. It sits in a series of mountains and valleys carved out of sandstone in an arid desert landscape. The region is characterized by rugged terrain and extreme temperatures, making it a challenging place to build a city. The Nabatean people were aware of this when they chose to establish their capital here around the 4th century BCE. However, they saw the potential of the area as natural features and the strategic location at the crossroads of important trade routes. They recognized that with proper engineering and management, they could turn this unforgiving terrain into a prosperous urban center. Water scarcity: one of the most significant challenges posed by the geography of Petra was the scarcity of water. Rainfall was infrequent and unpredictable, and the city's reliance on natural springs and seasonal flash floods for irrigation purposes made water management a constant concern. Without a steady supply of water, the city's survival was in jeopardy. Additionally, the mountainous terrain meant that water sources were often scattered and difficult to access, requiring extensive distribution networks to bring water to the city's inhabitants. Despite these challenges, the Nabatean people refused to be defeated. They turned to innovation and engineering to overcome the obstacles presented by their environment. They constructed a series of dams, reservoirs, aqueducts, and irrigation canals that allowed them to capture, store, and distribute water throughout the city. Their ingenuity enabled them to transform the arid desert landscape into a fertile oasis, supporting a thriving population and a flourishing economy. Petra's natural beauty: despite the challenges posed by its arid environment, Petra's natural beauty played a significant role in the city's development and prosperity. The red sandstone cliffs that surround the city create a stunning backdrop, and the rugged terrain provided natural protection from invaders. Furthermore, the city's location at the crossroads of important trade routes made it a vital hub for merchants and travelers. The Nabatean people recognized the importance of this strategic location and used it to their advantage, establishing Petra as a major center for trade and cultural exchange. The unique geological features of the area also contributed to the city's allure. The presence of springs and natural pools provided opportunities for water harvesting and irrigation, while the abundance of building materials, such as stone and wood, made construction projects feasible. Overall, the natural features of Petra, while posing challenges, also offered opportunities for the Nabatean people to create a thriving city. Through their ingenuity and hard work, they were able to harness the resources of their environment to create a prosperous and beautiful city that became one of the most important centers of the ancient world. Let's now talk about the engineering marvels of Nabatean hydraulics. Nabatean dams and water harvesting systems. In the heart of the arid desert where Petra stood tall, the Nabatean people ingeniously harnessed the power of water transforming the unforgiving terrain into a fertile landscape. At the entrance to Petra, nestled between towering sandstone cliffs lies the Sikh, a narrow gorge that once channeled the fury of flash floods known as wadis. Recognizing the destructive force of these torrential downpours, the Nabateans ingeniously constructed dams across the wadi channels. These dams, built with massive stones and expertly designed, served as the first line of defense against the raw power of nature. They acted as water harvesting mechanisms, capturing the sudden deluge and diverting it away from the city, preventing devastating floods. Instead, the water was directed through a series of carefully dug tunnels known as diversion tunnels, leading it away from the city center to designated storage areas. These tunnels, marvels of Nabatean engineering, ensured that the water flowed steadily and safely, reducing the risk of erosion and sedimentation. The water, once safely diverted, was channeled into a series of underground cisterns and reservoirs. These cisterns, carved into the sandstone bedrock, acted as storage facilities, holding precious water that could be accessed as needed. The Nabateans understood the importance of water conservation, minimizing evaporation and maximizing usage. By directing the floodwaters away from the city through dams and diversion tunnels, they not only protected Petra from destruction, but also ensured a steady supply of water for the city's inhabitants. This ingenious system of water management allowed the Nabateans to thrive in an inhospitable environment, transforming a desert landscape into a vibrant oasis of life. Terracotta pipelines and rock-cut channels. The Nabatean people were masters of hydraulic engineering, and their water management system is a testament to their advanced understanding of water flow and distribution. One of the most impressive aspects of their engineering was the use of terracotta pipelines. These pipelines, made from baked clay, were a sophisticated solution to the problem of water loss through evaporation or seepage. The Nabateans developed techniques to create watertight terracotta pipes that could carry water over long distances with minimal leakage. These pipes were meticulously crafted and joined together with great precision, forming a continuous network for water transportation. The Nabateans also employed rock-cut channels to transport water throughout the city. These channels, carved directly into the bedrock, were an efficient way to move water over longer distances. The rock-cut channels were carefully graded to ensure a smooth and steady flow of water, minimizing friction and sedimentation. The Nabatean engineers paid meticulous attention to detail, creating a network of channels that allowed water to flow freely from one point to another. These rock-cut channels were often covered to protect the water from the elements and reduce evaporation. In some cases, the channels were lined with stone or plaster to prevent seepage and maintain the water's purity. The Nabateans understood the importance of providing a constant supply of clean water to their population, and their engineering marvels, such as the terracotta pipelines and rock-cut channels, played a crucial role in achieving this goal. Their ability to manage water in such an arid environment is a testament to their advanced understanding of hydraulics and their commitment to the well-being of their people. Underground cisterns and reservoirs. The Nabatean people's ingenious use of underground cisterns and reservoirs was a critical aspect of their water management system. These subterranean structures allowed them to store and preserve water, protecting it from evaporation and contamination. The Nabateans realized that by keeping water underground, they could minimize its exposure to the harsh desert, sun, and potential pollutants. Cisterns were typically constructed by digging a hole into the ground and then lining it with stone or plaster. They could be found throughout the city of Petra, often near houses or public buildings, providing a convenient source of water for domestic use. Reservoirs, on the other hand, were larger structures designed to hold significant quantities of water. They were strategically located near springs or other water sources, allowing the Nabateans to collect and store water for the entire community. The underground reservoirs at Petra are a prime example of this technology. Carved directly into the sandstone bedrock, these reservoirs were marvels of Nabatean engineering. Their location in the mountains ensured that the water remained cool and protected from the elements. The Nabatean people's understanding of hydraulics and their ability to manipulate water is evident in the design of these underground cisterns and reservoirs. They were adept at creating structures that allowed for easy access to water while minimizing waste and contamination. By harnessing the power of gravity, they ensured that water flowed smoothly from one level to another, providing a constant supply for the city's inhabitants. The use of underground cisterns and reservoirs was a crucial adaptation that enabled the Nabatean people to flourish in the arid desert environment. It was a testament to their ingenuity and resourcefulness, allowing them to thrive in a region where water was scarce but life was abundant. Overall, the Nabatean water conduit systems were a marvel of ancient engineering. Their ability to control water in such a dry environment is even more impressive considering the primitive tools they had at their disposal. They used basic hand tools and animal power to create these complex systems, which is a testament to their perseverance and ingenuity. Their water systems were not just functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. The Nabatean people understood the importance of integrating their water infrastructure to the natural landscape. They built dams and reservoirs that blended seamlessly with the surrounding environment, creating a harmonious balance between human-made structures and nature. As we wrap up our exploration of the Nabatean water conduit systems, we are left in awe of the ingenuity and engineering prowess of this ancient civilization. Their ability to conquer the challenges of Petra's arid environment and transform it into a thriving urban center is a testament to their resilience and innovation. The Nabatean people's deep understanding of hydraulics, their mastery over water management, and their harmonious integration of water infrastructure to the landscape serve as a reminder of the incredible feats that can be achieved through human ingenuity. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of ancient civilizations, Petra and its water systems stand as a beacon of human achievement, inspiring us to push the boundaries of what is possible and reminding us of the transformative power of water in shaping civilizations. If you enjoyed this episode, please let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching. This is Petra, no, not the old 80s band with a couple of hits under their belt like Do and Stop Believing and Here I Go Again. This is the real Petra, a city so spectacularly beautiful that it seems unreal. Carved into the flesh of sheer rock faces high up in Jordan's rugged mountains, the ruins of this lost civilization are all that remain of the Nabatean Empire. And today, we gonna tell you why the jewel of the ancient world ultimately met a tragic end. Petra, which means rock in Greek, was the capital of the Nabateans, a nomadic tribe from northern Arabia who settled in the mountainous region in the 4th century BCE. There they established a formidable kingdom, thriving due to its advantageous location along important trade route connecting Africa, Asia, and Europe. For centuries, caravans laden with precious cargo passed through Nabatean lands, carrying exotic goods like incense, silk, and spices from southern Arabia and India, as well as gold, ivory, and rare stones from Africa. These caravans carried the treasures of the ancient world, traded among some of the most powerful empires of the time, including the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, the Roman Republic, and the Parthian Empire. The Nabateans were shrewd traders and realized the value of controlling these trade routes. They positioned themselves as intermediaries, facilitating the exchange of goods between these distant civilizations. By the 2nd century BCE, Petra had become the heart of a vast trading network that stretched from the cities of southern Arabia, such as the kingdoms of Sheba and Hadramaut, through Petra and onwards to the ports of the Mediterranean, where goods were shipped to Europe. But what made the Nabateans especially prosperous was their mastery of hydraulic engineering. They carved sophisticated water channels into the rocks, channeling water from springs and rainwater harvesting systems to supply the city with fresh water. Moreover, they constructed massive cisterns within the mountains to store water, ensuring a reliable supply even during times of drought. These engineering feats transformed Petra into a lush oasis amidst the arid desert, making it a safe haven for merchants who traveled for days across the scorching sands. This strategic location allowed the Nabateans to control the flow of goods and set up tolls at strategic points along the routes. When the trade of gold, frankincense, and myrrh flowed through their territory, they levied taxes on passing goods, accumulating great wealth and power as a result. They prospered for centuries, managing to stay neutral in conflicts between the surrounding empires and maintaining their independence. During their peak, they reached an estimated population of 30,000 to 60,000 inhabitants, composing a multicultural society of Arabs, Nabateans, Greeks, Romans, and others who lived and traded in relative harmony. However, the Nabatean way of life would soon face its greatest challenge. Although the Nabateans expertly maintained peace between regional powers for many years, this didn't last forever. In 31 BCE, Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, dispatched her forces to conquer the Arabian Nabatean kingdoms. But after fierce fighting, she made peace with the Nabatean king, Aretas IV. However, the Roman general Agrippa defeated Aretas in a battle off the coast of Actium in 32 BCE, and Rome later came to dominate the eastern Mediterranean. When Cleopatra and Mark Antony seized control of the Nabatean kingdom, Octavian, who later became known as Augustus, pursued them in 29 BCE. Although the Romans did not initially conquer Petra, Augustus installed a puppet king over the Nabateans. However, when the puppet monarch attempted to collect taxes on Roman ships traveling through the Red Sea, the Nabateans rebelled and he was forced to flee to Petra for safety. The Nabatean king, Aretas IX, son of the previous king who had died in 22 BCE, invited the Roman emperor to his capital and welcomed him as a guest. However, this hospitality was merely a ruse, as Aretas imprisoned the fugitive puppet monarch and refused to return him to Rome. The Romans responded with military action, besieging Petra for 2 years until the Nabatean king was forced to surrender and submit to Roman rule. Under the rule of Augustus, Petra flourished, becoming a key part of the Roman Empire and benefiting from increased stability and security. However, despite being a part of the empire, Petra retained a significant degree of autonomy, with local customs and traditions respected and even encouraged by the Roman authorities. The following emperors continued to regard Petra favorably, and it remained a vital part of the empire's trade network. But the prosperity of Petra would not endure. In the 2nd century CE, the Roman Emperor Trajan extended the empire's borders further into Arabia, incorporating more of the Nabatean heartland into the empire. He established new military outposts in the region, marking a shift towards greater Roman control. This expansion of Roman influence brought about significant changes in the political and economic landscape of Petra, with the Nabatean kingdom now more firmly under Roman sway. The caravan trade that had been the backbone of Petra's prosperity began to decline. As the Roman Empire grew, the Romans sought to exert greater control over their trade routes to bolster their own economy. To achieve this goal, they implemented measures to bypass Petra and redirect trade flows to more direct and controlled routes. One such effort was the enhancement of maritime routes in the Red Sea. Recognizing the strategic importance of seafaring, the Romans invested in shipbuilding and navigation technologies, facilitating faster and more efficient transportation of goods across the Red Sea. This development allowed ships to carry goods directly from the ports of Yemen and Oman to those in Egypt, reducing the need to traverse the land routes that passed through Petra. Consequently, Petra's role as an essential hub in the trade network started to diminish as merchants sought more direct pathways to their destinations. Another factor contributing to the decline of Petra was the opening of a new trade route through Palmyra in Syria. Located along the Silk Road, Palmyra emerged as a significant stop for traders traveling between China and the Mediterranean. The city's strategic position midway between East and West made it an ideal center for exchanging goods, ideas, and cultures. As merchants traversed these routes, they often preferred the shorter distance via Palmyra rather than continuing through Petra, further reducing the latter's importance in the trade network. The shift in trade patterns had profound implications for Petra. As merchants and traders bypassed the city, the volume of goods passing through declined. This decline resulted in decreased revenue from trade taxes, which had been a crucial source of income for the Nabatean kingdom. With diminished financial resources, the Nabateans faced challenges in maintaining the infrastructure that had sustained their prosperity, such as water systems and defensive structures. Consequently, the city's grandeur began to fade as upkeep and repairs were neglected. In addition, earthquakes struck the region in the 3rd and 6th centuries, causing extensive damage to buildings and infrastructure. The lack of sufficient resources to conduct major reconstruction projects led to the gradual deterioration of Petra's physical structures. Finally, with trade routes bypassing Petra and the city's infrastructure crumbling due to neglect and earthquakes, many of its inhabitants likely abandoned their homes, seeking better opportunities in neighboring cities that still thrived thanks to the new trade routes. Over time, Petra's population dwindled, leaving the once bustling city deserted and forgotten. In essence, Petra's fall serves as a reminder of the dynamic nature of trade and the vulnerability of civilizations dependent on specific economic activities. The rise of maritime trade and the emergence of alternative land routes contributed to Petra's decline, highlighting how geographical shifts can profoundly impact the fortunes of civilizations. This is incredible. It's a historical narrative. It's a poem. It's an ode. It's everything and anything. And it is etched in stone. This is Al-Khazneh, or the Treasury in Petra, Jordan. And I have always been fascinated by those bullet holes that mar the otherwise perfect facade. But no visit to Petra would be complete without a trip to Little Petra or Al Petra al-Bayt. It is early morning. I am bundled up in layers and sipping hot cardamom coffee. The sky is gray and overcast, which is great because the sun is not out yet and there is still some respite from the biting cold. The entrance to Little Petra is through a narrow gorge called Al-Sik al-Bar. As we walk along the path, the towering sandstone cliffs rise above us on either side, adorned with Nabatean inscriptions and early Christian graffiti. These ancient etchings depict gods and everyday life, creating a visual timeline that connects us to Petra's rich past. Some show winged deities, others display simple tools or household items. We stop to examine them, trying to decipher their meaning and imagining the hands that carved them centuries ago. Then suddenly, there it is, a glimpse of color amidst the monochrome landscape. The Sik opens up to reveal a small oasis of red sand and lush vegetation. At its center stands a series of rock-cut facades and structures, welcoming us to Little Petra, a miniature version of the larger city. Here, history unfolds through a labyrinth of pathways connecting over 150 tombs and buildings spread across 1 square kilometer. The site's unique layout, unlike the grand monumental architecture of main Petra, reflects the diverse social landscape of Nabatean society. Our first stop is the House of Ad-Deir. It was probably a wealthy merchant, judging by the size and opulence of his abode. The house consists of a courtyard surrounded by rooms used for residential and commercial purposes. Archaeologists have discovered fragments of fine glassware, lamps, and other artifacts hinting at the refined taste of its former residents. Walking through the empty rooms, I'd imagine the murmur of voices, the clink of glasses as merchants gathered here, discussing trade routes and faraway lands. As we venture deeper into Little Petra, we come across the Great Arch. Rising majestically from its base, it stands as a symbol of the architectural prowess of the Nabateans. The arch, though weathered by time, is a testament to their skill in engineering and design, showcasing their ability to transform solid rock into breathtaking works of art. From this vantage point, one can envision the bustling activity of daily life in ancient Petra. Imagine merchants and traders making their way through the winding streets below. Continuing our exploration, we come across the Roman amphitheater. It is hard to imagine the sounds of gladiators clashing steel or the roar of crowds cheering, their victories echoing within these ancient walls. The church, built during a time when Christianity was spreading across the region, offers a glimpse into the religious diversity that once thrived in Petra. But as I look around, I see more than just the crumbling walls and fading artwork. I see whispers of life, stories etched into the very fabric of Little Petra. In the worn stones, I imagine the footsteps of children playing, the laughter of families going about their daily lives. I picture artisans working in their shops, the rhythmic sound of hammers on metal or the gentle tap of a weaver's loom. I can almost hear the murmur of voices, the whispers of lovers strolling hand in hand beneath the arch. We then come across the enigmatic lion monument, a monolithic sculpture of a lion carved directly into the sandstone. Its jaws wide open, it seems to guard the entrance to Petra. Its presence exudes power and mystery, leaving us to ponder the symbolism behind this majestic creature. Suddenly, a small lizard darts across my path, disappearing into a crevice. I spot a pair of falcons perched atop the weathered stones, surveying their domain. The desert wind whispers through the ruins, carrying with it the scent of thyme and sage. The harsh beauty of the desert envelops me, reminding me of the resilience of life in this unforgiving terrain. As the sun begins its slow ascent, casting long shadows across the ancient stones, we make our way back to the entrance. The sky above the sick turns into a canvas of fiery hues, a breathtaking farewell as we leave Little Petra behind. Looking back, I see more than just a collection of ancient ruins. I see a community, a society, a way of life. Little Petra is not merely an archaeological site. It is a window into the past, a portal that allows us to experience a bygone era. It is a place where history comes alive, where the whispers of ancient voices echo through the ages. It is a journey that stays with you long after the last rays of sunlight have faded away, leaving you forever changed by the magic of Petra. As promised, I will now share the stories hidden within the bullet holes. First, let's go back in time to the year 1916. The Arab Revolt, a monumental chapter in Middle Eastern history, was underway. Led by the legendary T.E. Lawrence, also known as Lawrence of Arabia, Arab forces were united in their fight against the Ottoman Empire, aiming for independence and self-rule. Among the participants were the fierce and resilient Bedouin tribes of the Hejaz region, where Petra was situated. These tribesmen were not merely soldiers. They were protectors of their land and heritage, defending not just their present, but also the legacy of their forefathers. Their stand was a testament to their unwavering courage and determination. The conflict raged, and soon the Ottoman forces moved into action. Their strategy was clear: seize Petra and use it as a base to control the region. For the Bedouins, this was a dire threat. If the Ottomans took control of Petra, it would mean the end of their way of life, the destruction of their culture, and the loss of their freedom. So they fought back, launching surprise attacks and employing guerrilla tactics that baffled the Ottoman army. These daring raids left their mark on the ancient stones of Petra, specifically on the Treasury or Al-Khazneh. As the battles intensified, both sides exchanged gunfire, and it is said that some of those bullets found their way into the seemingly impenetrable facade of Al-Khazneh. These bullet holes are not just marks on a wall. They are silent testimonies to the bravery and desperation of the Bedouin fighters. Each hole tells a story of a life disrupted, of homes abandoned, and of a fight for independence. However, as the Arab Revolt reached its climax in 1918, the tide of war began to turn. With the help of British forces, Arab troops achieved several decisive victories, pushing the Ottomans further into the Arabian Peninsula. Yet the cost of victory was high. Many lives were lost, including those of the brave Bedouin warriors who had fought so valiantly to defend their homeland. Despite the sacrifices, the Arab Revolt was a success. The Ottoman Empire collapsed after World War I, and the region was divided into British and French spheres of influence. Although not completely independent, the seeds of modern nations like Jordan were sown. In the aftermath of the revolt, the Bedouin tribes returned to their ancestral lands, finding solace in the familiar surroundings of Petra. However, they were met with a changed world. The war had left its scars not just on the landscape, but also on their hearts and minds. The bullet holes in Al-Khazneh became a potent symbol of this transformation, representing both the hardships they had endured and the resilience they had shown in the face of adversity. Today, these bullet holes are more than just historical artifacts. They have evolved into a powerful reminder of the human spirit's tenacity and adaptability. They symbolize the Bedouin tribe's unyielding determination to preserve their identity, culture, and freedom in the ever-changing landscape of the Middle East. Each bullet hole is a silent testament to their strength, each mark telling a story of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond with their homeland. As visitors stand before Al-Khazneh, gazing at the bullet holes, they are not just observing historical relics. They are connecting with the emotions and experiences of those who came before them. These bullet holes in Al-Khazneh are more than just physical scars on a historic monument. They are emotional and psychological ones, too, reflecting the pain, suffering, and resilience of the Bedouin tribes during a tumultuous period in history. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. If you found this video insightful, consider subscribing. Let's explore more historical mysteries together. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep discovering. In the heart of a sun-drenched desert nestled amidst towering sandstone cliffs lies the lost city of Petra, a testament to human ingenuity and architectural brilliance. This rose-carved wonder was once the vibrant capital of the Nabatean kingdom, a thriving hub of international trade and a melting pot of cultures during its golden age between the 1st century BCE and the 1st century CE. But what was daily life really like in this fabled city? What did a typical day look like for its inhabitants? Join us as we embark on a journey back in time that uncover the secrets of everyday life in the magnificent city of Petra. As the Roman traders made their way through the narrow winding alleys, they would have encountered merchants from Persia and Egypt who brought with them a diverse range of goods. Persian merchants displayed luxurious silk fabrics, which were renowned for their quality and intricate designs. Meanwhile, Egyptian traders showcased exquisite pottery, including the famous Fayum pottery, known for its distinctive red and black style and depictions of daily life. The air within the marketplace was thick with the enticing aroma of spices mingling with the sounds of bartering and then the murmur of conversations in various languages. The din of the crowd was punctuated by the occasional cry of a merchant touting his wares or the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer from a nearby workshop. In the midst of this bustling activity, the little gate stood as a symbol of Petra's cultural diversity and economic prosperity. This unassuming structure, now partially ruined, was more than just a simple gateway. It represented the convergence of different peoples, religions, and traditions. For the Nabatean merchants, it was a portal to the wider world, connecting them to the riches of the East and the West. For travelers passing through Petra, the little gate served as a threshold to a new and vibrant culture, one that blended ancient traditions with cosmopolitan influences. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the marketplace, the energy of Petra's little gate continued to thrum with the rhythm of commerce and cultural exchange. Here, amidst the vibrant displays of goods and the animated conversations of merchants and travelers, the true essence of daily life in the heart of Petra's bustling city was on full display. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the city, the inhabitants of Petra gathered in their homes for the evening, sharing stories and laughter as they prepared for bed. The simplicity and resilience of their daily lives were evident in the close-knit community that thrived within the walls of their homes. Each day in Petra was a tapestry woven with threads of commerce, spirituality, and community. From the bustling marketplace to the tranquil homes nestled in the hillsides, the Rose City came alive with the daily rhythms of its inhabitants. Religion, therefore, was not merely a set of beliefs for the people of Petra, but a way of life that guided their actions, inspired their art, and strengthened the bonds that united them. As the night deepened, the sounds of music and singing filled the air, creating a symphony of voices that echoed through the winding streets. Musicians with their lutes and flutes played lively tunes that mingled with the rhythmic beat of drums, inviting all passers-by to join in the merriment. The melodies carried on the evening breeze, weaving a magical ambience that transformed the ancient city into a realm of enchantment. Meanwhile, atop the city walls, a group of guards stood watch, their silhouettes outlined against the starry sky. They kept a vigilant eye on the horizon, ever ready to defend Petra from any potential threats. Their presence was a reassuring constant, ensuring the safety of the city and its inhabitants as they slumbered peacefully in their homes. As the night wore on, the sounds of nocturnal animals echoed through the silent streets, adding a touch of wildness to the stillness of the night. The watchful gaze of the stars twinkled above, silently bearing witness to the daily rhythms of life in the ancient city of Petra. In the quiet hours before dawn, the Rose City was enveloped in a blanket of tranquility, offering its inhabitants a moment of respite before the sun returned, ushering in a new day of life, trade, and wonder. And so, as the night gave way to dawn, the ancient city of Petra slumbered peacefully, cradled by the protective embrace of its monumental architecture and the watchful gaze of its devoted inhabitants. The ruins of Petra today stand as a testament to the grandeur of this ancient city, offering us a glimpse into the daily lives of its inhabitants. From the bustling marketplace to the serene homes and the echoes of religious rituals, Petra's legacy continues to captivate our imagination. Through the stories of its people, we discover the essence of daily life in one of the world's most remarkable archaeological sites. The city of Petra, Rose City carved into sandstone cliffs, lost at time's tombstone until its rediscovery in the early 19th century. Yet its origins reach back to a time when empires once dreamed of conquering the world. This fabled city nestled in the heart of Jordan holds within its ancient stones a legacy that spans millennia. And today, we are going to explore the lesser-known aspects of its story. Among the many pages of its rich history, we will focus on the period of the Crusader Kingdom, a chapter that is often overlooked but profoundly influenced the course of Petra's journey through time. How did Crusader castles shape the course of Petrine history? What effect did the war with the Muslims have on Petra? And how did the castles influence the future of the city? Join us as we uncover the secrets hidden among the relics of this magnificent city and discover how the Crusader era left an indelible mark on its legacy. How did Crusader castles influence the preservation or loss of Petra? To understand the influence of the Crusader castles on Petra, it is essential to delve into the broader context of their arrival in the Levant region in the late 11th century. The Crusaders, European Christians inspired by the call to retake Jerusalem, established a series of kingdoms in the eastern Mediterranean. These kingdoms bordered the Muslim states of the time, leading to frequent conflicts over control of strategic regions. One of these key regions was the area around Petra. When the Crusaders seized Jerusalem in 1099, they encountered fierce resistance from the local Muslim population. Aware of the strategic importance of the region, the Crusader leaders quickly set about strengthening their position by constructing a series of fortresses and castles. Among them, Carrick Castle, known as Crac des Moabites in French, stands out as a prominent example. Located about 30 kilometers north of Petra, this imposing fortress served as a crucial defense point against attacks from the south by the armies of the Zengid dynasty based in Damascus. In addition to protecting trade routes, Carrick Castle also monitored and controlled access to the southern part of the Hejaz, the pilgrimage route that led to Mecca and Medina, the holy cities of Islam. The castle's strategic location allowed the Crusaders to exert pressure on Muslim caravans traveling through the region, sometimes collecting taxes or even intercepting them. The construction of Crac des Chevaliers, as the name indicates, was spearheaded by the Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, better known as the Knights Hospitallers. This order, originally composed of European Christians dedicated to caring for pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land, gradually evolved into a powerful military force, taking control of large territories in the Levant. Carrick Castle, initially a small fortification, underwent successive expansions and improvements, becoming one of the largest and most impressive examples of Crusader architecture in the region. Its thick and high walls, equipped with loopholes for archers and gunners, made it almost impenetrable. The castle also featured several towers, including the famous Tower of the Holograph, which housed the residence of the Grand Master of the Order. Within the castle complex, there were also churches, barracks, warehouses, and a hospital, reflecting its original purpose as a place of worship and care for pilgrims, in addition to being a military stronghold. The castle remained in Crusader hands for almost 2 centuries, resisting numerous attacks by Muslim forces until it finally fell to the Mamluk Sultanate in 1268. Another Crusader castle that influenced Petra's history was Montreal Castle, also known as Shobuk, located about 35 kilometers northwest of Petra. Built in 1115 by the French King Baldwin I, this castle also played an essential role in securing Crusader rule in the region. Montreal Castle was strategically positioned along the trade route connecting Egypt with Damascus, allowing the Crusaders to monitor and control traffic in this important commercial artery. Similar to Carrick Castle, Montreal was also built on a raised area of land, facilitating its defense and offering a vantage point to observe the surrounding landscape. It was designed to withstand siege, and its layout included a main courtyard surrounded by high walls and various buildings, such as barracks, warehouses, a chapel, and a cistern for storing water. Despite its strategic importance, Montreal Castle did not enjoy the same longevity as Carrick. It was captured by rival Muslim factions several times throughout its existence, initially falling to the Zengids in 1148 before returning to Crusader control in 1153. In 1189, it was again conquered by Saladin, leader of the Ayyubid dynasty, marking the end of Crusader presence in the region. The construction of these castles in areas close to Petra had multiple repercussions for the ancient city. On one hand, the military conflicts between Crusaders and Muslims caused instability and insecurity in the region. In fact, Petra became a borderland between Christian and Muslim territories, suffering the consequences of repeated clashes and raids. This constant conflict discouraged people from living in the area and affected the city's economy, since trade and exchange were interrupted, resulting in a progressive abandonment of the city. On the other hand, the proximity to the castles led to the temporary revitalization of some ancient trade routes used during the Nabatean period. With the arrival of the Crusaders, caravan traffic began to circulate again through the region, boosting Petra's economy to some extent and putting it back on the map as a commercial center. But this revival was fragile and did not last long, since the security situation remained uncertain and unpredictable, with Muslim and Crusader forces continually disputing control of the area. As the Crusader kingdom grew and expanded, so did the Kingdom of Jerusalem, reaching its greatest territorial extent under the reign of King Al-Mawri I. However, this expansionist policy led to confrontations with neighboring Muslim principalities, causing unrest and instability in the region. These conflicts escalated, leading to the siege of Montreal Castle in 1140 by Muslim forces led by Zengi's vizier, Asad al-Dawadimi. The siege lasted several months and resulted in the death of thousands of Crusaders and civilians, including women and children. The tragic events at Montreal Castle demonstrate the brutal reality of medieval warfare and the impact it had on the civilian population. Women and children caught up in the siege suffered immensely, lacking adequate food and medical care. The siege also had profound psychological consequences, generating fear, despair, and trauma among those who survived. Contemporary accounts describe scenes of extreme suffering and desperation. Chroniclers who recounted these events sought to emphasize the brutality of the Muslim enemy, portraying them as merciless and uncivilized. However, it is essential to analyze these accounts critically considering the context of medieval propaganda. Each side sought to demonize the other in order to justify their actions and gain support from their respective followers. Meanwhile, the fall of Montreal Castle dealt a blow to Crusader morale and prestige, highlighting the difficulties and challenges they faced in maintaining their presence in the Levant. This defeat also marked a turning point in the history of the Crusades, prompting a reevaluation of their objectives and strategies in the region. In response to the siege of Montreal, the Crusaders launched a series of punitive expeditions into northern Syria, aiming to recover their honor and deter future Muslim attacks. However, these campaigns did not achieve lasting success, and the conflicts continued throughout the 12th century. However, the Crusader castles themselves, although intended to ensure stability and security, did not always achieve this goal. They sometimes became epicenters of clashes and destruction. For example, during the siege of Montreal Castle, the Muslim forces under Dodd's command reportedly plundered and destroyed nearby towns and villages, causing civilian casualties and further destabilizing the region. Likewise, during the siege of Carrick Castle in 1268, the Mamluk forces led by Baybars al-Bintasi overwhelmed the castle and massacred its defenders, including Knights of the Teutonic Order, men, women, and children. Those who did not die in battle became slaves of the Mamluk Sultanate. Events like these demonstrated the fragility of the castles and the vulnerability of the Crusader kingdom. Even when they achieved military victories, they did not always bring long-lasting peace or security to the region. Furthermore, the construction of these castles inevitably had an impact on the landscape and the region's architectural heritage. The imposing fortresses and defensive structures stood out as symbols of the Crusader presence and their military power, dominating the visual landscape of the area. The Crusaders introduced new construction techniques, such as the use of ashlar masonry, pointed arches and buttresses, elements that contrasted with the traditional Islamic architectural patterns found in Petra. While the castles themselves were not built inside the city, their presence influenced how Petra was used and perceived. The Crusader forces utilized some of the ancient structures in Petra for their own purposes, such as using them as stables, barracks, or residences for soldiers. This led to the alteration or destruction of some archaeological treasures, contributing to the gradual loss of Petra's architectural heritage. Moreover, during the conflicts, some fragments of the rock-cut monuments in Petra were used as building materials to repair damaged fortifications or construct new structures. This practice resulted in the deterioration of several archaeological sites, including the facades of the royal tombs. In conclusion, the Crusader castles had a significant influence on the history of Petra, both positively and negatively. While their presence contributed to reviving trade routes and temporarily restoring economic activity to the city, they also unleashed a wave of violence and instability that led to the flight of many of its inhabitants and its progressive decline as a major urban center. Additionally, the castles modified the region's architectural landscape and inadvertently contributed to the loss of some of Petra's archaeological heritage. Despite this, the Crusader period indirectly helped preserve the memory of Petra through written records and maps, ensuring that knowledge of the city did not disappear completely. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching and see you next time.